Hi, my name is Judy Ramos, and I'm a teacher at Greater Lansing Adventist School. And this video is for any Adventist families who could use some tips on homeschooling this year. So I'm going to be going over 4 key components that I believe are crucial to have a successful homeschool year. And the 4 things are curriculum, setup, scheduling, and making learning fun. Alright, so we're going to talk about curriculum now. If this is your first time homeschooling, just so you know, in the state of Michigan, it's a great state to homeschool because there are very limited laws. It's really up to you as the parent to determine, where your child goes educationally. I mean, it could be a blessing or it could be a curse, obviously, but that allows for flexibility. If you are a parent or if you're a family that has been in the Adventist system, but due to COVID or financial situations, whatever it may be, you are trying out homeschooling with hopes, and if things get better, you plan to send them back to the Adventist system, then I think it may be a good idea to consider maybe aligning more closely with our Adventist curriculum. That way it's a smoother transition out and a smoother transition back in. If you are homeschooling with very limited plans of sending them back, then yeah, you have the flexibility, but I have some resources that I want to share with you that may be helpful in selecting curriculum and at least understanding the standards, Common Core state standards and also our Adventist standards. A really good resource that I would recommend is if you go on our website, adventisteducation.org, you can click on curriculum there and you can see that for elementary and secondary, it lists all of the curriculum that we are using in the Adventist system. So like I mentioned before, if you are taking your student out for homeschooling this year and plan to have them re-enter, you can just go ahead and click on the grade level. Let's say they're in grade 4. You can see here all of the teacher material and student material, all the textbooks that we are using across the NAD for that particular grade. And that way, if they re-enter back into our system, there's a smoother transition. Also, if you look under the curriculum section there, you'll see that it also lists our standards. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, we have our own standards for each subject, as you can see, and they align with the Common Core state standards as well. So there is an overlap there. So whether you decide to use a different curriculum, you can see what the standards are, and these are our Adventist standards that align with the Common Core state standards as well. This is just a resource if you want to download any of these that can really help drive your instruction as you homeschool. The next section is the setup. This involves all the planning that takes place before the school year actually begins. This is who your staff will be, your staff. So who's going to be doing most of the instruction or overseeing? Is it going to be dad, or is it going to be mom, grandma, babysitter? Kind of planning out who that team is, who your village is. Are you joining a co-op or not? Are you going to join a homeschool group? These are all different things to consider and process so that you're all on the same page. What are the time commitments that people can give? Another one is financial commitment. I think it's important to create a budget for homeschooling. So of course there's the initial purchasing of all the equipment and curriculum and so on and so forth, the setup, but I would encourage you to give yourself an allowance every month, whether it's $100, whether it's $500. Each month, allot yourself some funding to help enhance and really enrich your child's educational experience, and use the money, whether it's for field trips, technology, more arts and crafts, different things, and I think that will just help keep things fresh as you go throughout the school year. As a family, I think it's important to have a spiritual direction for where you want to go for the school year. So creating a theme, I think, would be really great. So I would encourage you to think about what you want your family theme to be for your school year. And whether it's a scripture or a Spirit of Prophecy quote, a motto, just post that up, have that so that the kids can see that. All your worships can be tailored to that as well, so you really drive home that point. And also along with setup is a physical setup, so making sure you have a location that's designated for homeschooling, having that homeschool library available. That's where all the books go, desk, chair, or table chair. Make sure there's enough light, make sure that the chair height is appropriate to the desk, and have all of your supplies ready and available there. So yeah, all that goes along with setup, also determining rules and procedures for school. I think the more that you can differentiate between, hey, in school, when it's school time, these are the rules, but then allow more flexibility when it's playtime or just home time. I think that will help you as a parent as you transition to homeschooling, because you're going to be wearing different hats and you don't want to mix those things up. I know as a homeschool parent, sometimes it's easy to put them to work and say, hey, let me go do dishes now, or let me cook, or whatever it may be. It's hard to stay focused. So I think having the rules and procedures and creating that ahead of time will help make things go smoother. The next segment is on scheduling and planning. And so I always like to go from very general big picture and narrow it down. And so I would encourage you to create a yearly calendar, like the school year calendar, including the first day when school starts, when school ends, vacation times in there, if you have any special events that you want to take place, if you want to have field trips, guest teachers, whatever special projects in there. I think kind of creating that framework will help you and kind of help drive the year forward. Of course, it needs to be narrowed down as well to even a daily schedule and creating that routine. So you may create one and you may have to tweak it every week, and that's fine. I think constantly revisiting and seeing what really works best for your family will be very important in creating that schedule. So if you want to have some classes in the morning, but some in the evening when, the other parent gets home from work or whatever. These are all things to process and think about. I think unit plans are very important. So looking at the curriculum, whoever will be the instructional leader for your home, it'll be important to look at the curriculum and also think about your particular child or each child. What areas do they really struggle in? The beautiful thing about homeschooling is you could actually tailor it to whatever their needs are. So if you have a child that struggles in writing, maybe you incorporate a writing program, maybe you have them write book reports. But yeah, these are all types of things that you process into the framework, and then there's a curriculum, that will keep you steady each day. But yeah, the way I lesson plan actually is I like using a digital lesson plan book. It's actually called Plan Book. I like to type it all out, and then I can, it's synced with some of the Adventist standards as well, and the Common Core state standards. So you can just kind of drag them in right into the lesson planning. But I like having it digital because then, whether we progress quicker or slower, I can move and manipulate the lessons back and forth. But I know some people also like to write it in. And so, yeah, just having a planner and kind of staying on top of it and making sure that you review it. I would suggest lesson planning once a week works really well for me. You have it done once and then you're set for the week, but also revisiting unit plans, revisiting monthly plans perhaps, and just know that you're going in the right direction, I think will kind of help you create that well-rounded education for your child. The final thing I want to talk about is just the importance of making learning fun, especially for the elementary students. Think of ways that you can make learning special for them, even though it's in their own house. Whether it's creating centers with a rotation, getting like a cool bell maybe that you can ring every time it's time for a new class, incorporating a lot of hands-on learning, even group work together, doing research projects, having them present. Maybe they can create a presentation and then do it over Zoom for their grandparents or whatever it may be. I think thinking of fun ideas to incorporate into your learning for your child, I think will make it a very positive experience. I think incorporating elements of surprise is always something fun. So kids love surprises. So one day for school you decided you're doing something different or whatever, you have that flexibility to do that. It can get very tiring. It's gonna get very tiring as you're homeschooling, but try to find ways and be committed to keeping the learning fresh and exciting and fun for your child. So these are just some of my thoughts. I hope it was a blessing to you. I hope it was helpful in some way, shape, or form. And I wish you the very best and God's blessing on this school year.